Welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic, this Nigerian national was convicted of TransNational Inheritance Fraud Scheme, along with various other Nigerian nationals, co-conspirators. Mm, mm, mm. Again, this cannot be said enough. The audacity that there is a certain number within Nigerians, the one this applies to, especially within America, the one this applies to, that do have these super audacity-ness to try to sit there and talk crazy about Black Americans who have built this country before numbers of Nigerians, most numbers of Nigerians that set foot in this country. Most numbers of Nigerians in America, the ones it applies to, are basically latecomers, first generation, second generation. And most of them is going to be first generation because prior to 2000, about a generation before that, Nigerians would have make up only a few 100,000 in America. Only about a few 100,000. So the thing about it is this system is so brilliant because they have filled up certain types of Nigerian coons and sellouts, and some ones that have a dacinistic mentality have filled their heads up and making them think that they, for some reason, I think they better than Black Americans who have built this country before many were even born. Walk around talking about, oh my goodness, we're the most educated people. Wrong. First of all, if that type of Nigerianness is so all that, then you'd be like, well, why are y'all in America? Right? Because you talking about the ancient country of Nigeria, right? The Nuri kingdom. Also, it goes back some of the oldest type kingdoms also. The Nigeria is a Nuri kingdom, right? Come from ancientness of greatness. Nigeria has about 36 some plus states, right? And one federal. One of the most populous countries in Africa is Nigeria. So if those personnel who think they're all that had to run to America, numbers of Nigerians, again, I'm talking about the coons and sellouts. I'm not talking about numbers of some of the good ones. So we're not going to play that game because your house are ones that be like, well, people should be talking about Nigerians because it's not all. Again, we're not going to play that game. The point, like in this story, is it's true. Right? Prove that it's wrong. And of course, numbers of Nigerians within America, the ones applies to, know it's not wrong. See, the system give a dang about some numbers of educated Nigerians. They like, so what? Negroes? You just come from a certain part of Africa, Negroes, that we allowed you Negroes to come to America because we have plans, Negroes, to sit there and also kind of, be a pseudo buffer to replace certain parts of American Black, Negroes. And we can send you a little Negro bus right back to Nigeria. You understand, boy? You understand, girl? Yes, Master White. Oh, it's quite a number of Nigerians like that. And again, I'm not talking about numbers of good ones who know who they are. At the same time, those ones know that there are some coons and some sellouts. They have a hatred for their own kind. And then here's the thing about it. Several hundred There are several hundred tribes in Nigeria, hundreds of languages, right? You see how that goes. So again, there are certain Nigerians, the ones it applies to, that are very fakish. They'll sit there and pretend to be under the black, the black flagness when it's convenient for them. But again, when the heat of black pain comes upon, right, racism, hatred, left and right, how many numbers of Nigerians in America be like, hey, no, 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 we're not that black person. We are, we come from Nigeria. I am of that tribe. Then it's tribalism, and they know they can't stop their own tribalism going on in various parts of Nigeria. Again, the places this applies to. Not talking about good numbers of Nigerians who know they are. So we're not going to play that tactic. So let's go ahead and play. Let's go ahead and let me share this screen and go ahead and get to this particular uh, article, right? And so make sure you can see that here. Okay. You see right here, a Nigerian national was sentenced on February to 97 months in prison for his role in a transnational inheritance fraud scheme. According to the court records, if I may be turn his name up, if I am, well, whatever. Okenzie Bonaventure Ogbata, 36 years old only, was a member of a group of fraudsters, was a member of a group of fraudsters, was a member of a group of Nigerian fraudsters that sent personalized letters to elderly victims in the United States over the course of several years. The letters falsely claimed that the sender was a representative of a bank in Spain and that the recipient was entitled to receive a multi-million-dollar inheritance left for the recipient by a family member who had transitioned overseas years before. Agbata and his co-conspirators, Nigerian ones, told a series of lies to victims, including that before they could receive their purported inheritance, they were required to send money for delivery fees, taxes, and other payments to avoid questioning from gov authorities. Ogbata and his co-conspirator Nigerian ones collected money. Victims sent in response to the fraudulent letters through a complex web of U.S. based former victims, whom the defendants convinced, the Nigerian defendants convinced to receive, whom the defendants convinced to receive money and forward to the defendants, the Nigerian defendants, of our persons associated with him. Let me read this again. So Agbata and his co-conspirators collected money. Victims sent in response to the fraudulent letters through a complex web of U.S.-based former victims, whom the defendants convinced to receive money and forward to the defendants or persons associated with them. Victims who sent money never received any purported inheritance funds. In pleading guilty, Agbata admitted to defrauding over 6 million. Agbata admitted, Nigerian national Agbata, not black American, This Nigerian national Agbata admitted to defrauding over 6 million from more than 400 victims. 400 victims, many of whom were elderly or otherwise vulnerable. Mm, mm, mm. Where is this? Where are these numbers within Nigeria? That's the ones it applies to jump up and down and say, oh, that's not true. That's not true. Because, of course, those come in sellouts, the ones who know they are, because they couldn't sit there and deflect from this because there's no rational deflection. But again, how many want to sit there and have the nerve to sit and talk down upon American blacks? And American blacks are not fleeing from various sections of Nigeria, right? And it's an insult to some of the good numbers of Nigerians. Because I'm not talking about some of the good numbers of Nigerians in America, those few who came to America who ain't trying to talk crazy or look down upon American blacks, because they understand. Again, for without the American blacks, many wouldn't even be in America. Because multi-millions of American blacks over centuries have been the victims of black pain, more than any numbers of various parts of Nigerians can ever imagine in America. And again, I'm not talking about numbers of some of the good ones who know they are, who know what I'm relaying is the truth. And credit given to the ones that are not sellouts or coons. One of the very last few things I wanted to show you, remember, I said the co-conspirators, right? Oh, excuse me, you know what? Let me show this little quick picture here. Look at this right here. What did it say? Agbacha. Nigerian pleads guilty. Nigerian pleads guilty to defrauding over 400 Americans of 6 million. Nigerian pleads guilty to defrauding over 400 Americans of 6 million. Right? Just wanted to throw that out again on that. And the last thing I wanted to show, remember I relayed over, it said something about co-conspirators. This is all over the place because I'm like, man, this is all over the place. You see this right here? It says 6 Nigerian nationals sentenced for international scheme that defrauded elderly U.S. victims. 6 Nigerian national sentenced for international scheme that defrauded elderly U.S. victims. Right? Now let me stop this one for a second. And go back and share this other part, this other screen on that. Give me 1 second here. Now, I'm just saying, right? And the thing about it is, again, where are those type of Nigerians at? The ones it applies to that sit there and be like, oh my goodness, they will feel uncomfortable because this is, they don't like hearing about certain numbers. The people thinking Nigerians are scam artists. Well, I'm talking about the ones this applies to, the ones that do fraudulent activity, the ones this applies to. Right? How you gonna explain this? There's numbers of people who've heard about this over years, Nigerian scams. Now again, Nigeria is a big freaking country. That don't apply to all types of Nigeria. That should be logical sense. But here's the crazy part about it. There are some sellout Nigerians, the ones applies to, some West Nile sticking Nigerians in America, the ones applies to, right? Who again ran as fast as possible from Nigeria, right? The ancient country of pre-Nigerian name. And by the way, you ask the people where that word Nigerian, the word Nigeria comes from. It didn't even come from a native Nigerian person, right? But again, numbers of tribalism going on in Nigeria and numbers of Nigerians in America, once applies to, don't want to sit there and talk about that. But at the same time, right, how many generalizing, oh my goodness, black folks are lazy, black folks are this, black folks are that. And you'd be like, I know that particular Nigerian sellout is not trying to talk. I know they ain't trying to talk. Right? So we're not going to play that little tactic. Because again, if that person's all that in Nigeria, then they would not be in America. Right? And again, I'm not talking about numbers of good Nigerians who are not trying to sit there and disrespect American blacks, because I'm telling you, there are some Nigerians that understand America, that they really don't want to piss off American blacks who know the game. They really don't want to piss off American blacks. and sit there and have American blacks roasting them left and right. So they know which side to not sit there and be trying to get pissed off, because American blacks have been in this country fighting for fighting for centuries before many numbers of Nigerians even set foot in America. So we're not going to play that game, right? We're not going to play that tactic. So lastly, this is funny, but it's not. Well, it's not funny whatsoever. And it goes back to what I was saying. Give me a second here. I want you to just kind of symbolically, right? Says the big old John B is representation of certain types of ones that want to slot on the people of color minority banner. And there are ones who like to disrespect American blacks, right? Now, fled Nigeria, fled the ancient country of Nigeria. I'm not talking about some of the ones that are good, that, hey, this different opportunities. Okay, this is globalness. And they come to America, try to do some things, do their own little thing, and they still show respect for American blacks. Hey, not a problem. Now, numbers of Nigerians, they're gonna keep themselves anyway. So by the way, there's no such thing as Pan-African love either. Not like that. Right? There is no even Pan-African love in various sections of Africa. You got numbers of personnel from various parts of Africa be like, hey, don't even call us African. We're of that particular tribe or that tribe. There are other ones you can't even talk to one another, let alone intermarry with various other tribes. They say, no, you can't do that. Right? But numbers of ones that come over to America and then play this little in generalized Pan-African, in generalized little situation. Ain't no such thing as that. Not a true Pan-Africanism. That stuff went out back in the 80s and 90s. There are very few exceptions in America. But the point I'm getting at in closing is that imagine that this is one of those Selas or Kun type of Nigerians, the one it applies to. And right in front of the B, representing, and some B's that run around a little bit, representing, unfortunately, there are some fragmented type of American blacks, the one this applies to. And the this particular Nigerian, I'm talking about the one it applies to, symbolically, Selak Kunish one, or the ones that have audacity to hate American blacks. They feel they can sit there and tell American blacks anything, right? And they be like, okay, you on America, this single individual American black. Ha ha ha, tell them anything, just play games with them. Oh, there's a few more Negroes. Okay, we'll do this to them, I'll do this to that. And then it's like, oh, them Negroes ain't gonna do, the American black Negroes ain't gonna do nothing. Oh, right. But then it's like, oh, but then if American blacks got gigantically tired, or the ones from certain parts of Nigeria that made it to America, the ones supplies to, they have the audacity to talk crazy to American blacks. Do you see how numbers those particular Nigerian Salas and Coons would get roasted? You understand? And they don't want none of that, right? They be like, oh, you trying to talk crazy about American blacks? Oh, okay. They don't want that heat. But at the same time, they understand that there's not enough American blacks to understand, to not let people sit there and disrespect American blacks as if other people help Nigerians, the ones applies to, as if they built America, when they only make up a few 100,000, even right now. Not that many, less than 1% of the population is Nigerians. And again, I'm not talking about numbers of good Nigerians who know who they are and credit given to them, but as a very small amount in a collective way, because this system only allows a certain type of Nigerians collectively to come over to America. And those are the ones that are not trying to get with numbers of American blacks and try to, get understanding American blacks and show the collective respect for American blacks. And again, I'm not talking about some coons and some sellout numbers of American blacks. I'm not talking about them either, right? So again, credit given to some of the good numbers of Nigerians, because again, that is a small number, because numbers of other Nigerians, many sit there and can't stand American blacks, but will smile in the face of American blacks and pretend, the ones who know they are. But at the same time, American blacks are not going to be able to sit there and flee America, and will have all right to get away from America with all the racial racism, terrorism toward American blacks over centuries of black pain. They say, hey, coming to Nigeria, roll out the carpet. And how many numbers Nigerians be like, no, sir. No, ma'am. With very few exceptions. They be like, no, just stay over in America. Well, we're Africans. They be like, no. We're Africans over 50 some plus countries. Right? You see how that goes. So again, to some of the good numbers Nigerians, credit given to the ones, but unfortunately, in America, they only allow certain numbers of Nigerians that slip through the cracks, because overall, many numbers of Nigerians, the ones applies to, can't stand numbers of American blacks. But when it concerns criminality from certain numbers of Nigerians, the ones applies to in America, right, or various parts of Nigeria, they don't like that truth. Right? And they know it's not enough American blacks to call them out and roast them for disrespect. I thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show.